What really happened in Paris? The mystery behind Taehyung's sudden departure and Jungkook's emotional message. Why did Kim Taehyung leave Paris without a single word, and what did Jungkook say that shattered millions of hearts worldwide? These questions continue to echo through every corner of the ARMY community, stirring waves of emotion, confusion, and endless speculation. Paris was supposed to be Taehyung's sanctuary, a quiet break from the constant spotlight. Yet, in a matter of hours, that peace turned into one of the most talked about mysteries in BTS history. And just when fans thought they understood the story, Jungkook's hauntingly beautiful message changed everything. A few simple words, raw, personal, and filled with emotion, felt like both a confession and a farewell. For weeks, whispers surrounded Taehyung's stay in Paris. Cameras captured every fleeting moment, from his peaceful morning walks along the Seine to his quiet reflections in a small cafe. But something about him felt different. His usual radiant smile was replaced by a distant calm. Was it exhaustion? Sadness? Or something far deeper? No one could say for sure, but the way he left told a story all its own. No announcements. No cheerful waves. Just silence. That silence became the loudest message of all. It wasn't HYB's carefully crafted PR statement, nor a rehearsed post, it was something real. Something human. And then came Jungkook's message. "Sometimes silence speaks the loudest," he wrote. Attached was a photo of Paris at dawn, 2 untouched coffee cups on a table, 1 chair empty. The symbolism hit instantly. Fans realized both had been there together, but now one was gone. The post spread like wildfire across social media. Within minutes, "Silence Speaks the Loudest" became the top global trend, sparking thousands of theories and emotional tributes. What had really happened between them in Paris? Why had Jungkook chosen that exact moment to speak, and what had driven Taehyung to leave so suddenly, as though escaping something only the two of them could understand? Some ARMYs believed the timing was key. Just days before Taehyung's departure, reports surfaced of an urgent HYB meeting in Seoul discussing BTS's future after military service. Others dismissed the business angle entirely, suggesting instead that what happened in Paris was deeply personal, perhaps a private heartbreak that even fame couldn't shield him from. The City of Light, once Taehyung's refuge of art and calm, now seemed to carry the weight of sorrow. Even in a world as tightly managed as K-pop, where every move is choreographed and every word is measured, this moment stood apart. His quiet exit didn't feel like a publicity strategy, it felt like a cry for space, for breath. Those close to him described the atmosphere as heavy, filled with unspoken emotion. Witnesses saw him leaving his hotel at dawn, head low, suitcase in hand. Cameras caught a glimpse of his face at the airport, composed, but distant, as if lost in thought. Meanwhile, Jungkook, who was back in Seoul, spent that same night in the studio. Insiders later said he was unusually quiet, working longer than usual, seemingly deep in thought. At one point, he stared at his phone for several minutes before abruptly leaving. Hours later, his post appeared online. To casual readers, it might have seemed simple. But to those who followed BTS for years, it was anything but. Every detail, the photo, the timing, the silence, carried profound weight. Some saw it as Jungkook's way of reaching out to Taehyung, of expressing concern or regret without breaking the sacred wall of privacy. Others believed it was a message meant only for him, disguised as a post for everyone. Fans couldn't help but remember Taehyung's recent interview, where he confessed feeling strangely lonely even when surrounded by people. Sometimes, he had said quietly, "You can be in the most beautiful city in the world and still feel empty." At the time, it sounded poetic. Now, it felt prophetic. Paris had always been special to Taehyung. He once called it his second home, a place where he could simply be Kim Taehyung, not V of BTS. But this visit was different. He was expected to attend a private fashion event, yet his schedule was cut short, and his sudden departure left even staff members confused. The silence from HYB only deepened the mystery. There were no press releases, no clarifications, just quiet. Why stay silent when the world was demanding answers? Were they protecting his privacy, or hiding something more? Insiders began to suggest that Taehyung's sudden decision came from emotional and physical exhaustion. Others whispered about tension, not between members, but between personal freedom and corporate expectation. Whatever the truth, Jungkook's message seemed to echo the heartache behind it all. His simple words felt like an embrace from afar, a quiet way of saying, "I understand. Don't disappear." Days later, Jungkook appeared in a live broadcast. When a fan mentioned Paris, he paused, smiled faintly, and said softly, "Paris is beautiful, but sometimes beauty hides the most painful things." His voice trembled just slightly, but enough for fans to feel the weight behind his words. In that moment, everyone knew exactly what he meant. Then came the quiet images of Taehyung resurfacing, not in Seoul, not at a public event, but in a small countryside village. Fans spotted him walking alone, dressed simply, carrying a calm that seemed fragile yet peaceful. The photos spread online, but they carried a different tone, one of healing. Perhaps this was his way of finding stillness again. Still, the questions lingered. What really happened in Paris? Why did Jungkook's message feel like both a goodbye and a promise? Cultural analysts soon began interpreting the event as more than fandom gossip. It was, they said, a raw glimpse into the human side of fame. "We often forget that these idols are human," explained Dr. Hannah Lee, a cultural studies professor at John University. Taehyung's silence and Jungkook's emotional response reveal the cost of living under constant observation. In that silence lies their truth. For ARMY, that truth was both heartbreaking and beautiful. The connection between Jungkook and Taehyung has always been complex, built on trust, shared dreams, and years of quiet understanding. Watching one leave in silence and the other speak through it felt like witnessing two souls navigating the weight of fame in their own ways. Yet amid the sadness, there was hope. Because silence doesn't always mean the end. Sometimes, it's just a pause, a way to breathe before speaking again. Maybe that's what Jungkook truly meant. Not goodbye, but I'll wait. Weeks have passed now. Taehyung remains out of the public eye, finding peace away from the noise, while Jungkook continues performing with a noticeable change in tone. During one recent performance, when he sang the words, "You're not alone," it felt less like a lyric and more like a message, one sent across distance and silence, meant for someone who still matters deeply. So what really happened in Paris? Was it an emotional breaking point, or a quiet beginning? Perhaps only they know. But one thing is certain, Jungkook's message and Taehyung's silence will remain etched in fans' hearts as one of the most hauntingly beautiful moments in BTS history. A reminder that even global icons are still human, fragile, emotional, and capable of heartbreak.